rich mother-in-law humiliated her until she saw her enter a limousine. The first time Vivian Park called her that girl, she did it with a smile so polished it looked almost kind. But the words cut like a quiet slap right there in the middle of a bright, expensive restaurant. Mina Lee kept her hands folded in her lap, hiding the small tremble in her fingers. The table was huge. The plates were too white, the glasses too thin, the cutlery too heavy. Mina felt like she might leave fingerprints on something and get in trouble for it. Across from her sat her husband Daniel Park in a clean suit that still felt new to him, like he had not grown into it yet. He reached under the table and squeezed Mina's hand once, trying to tell her she was safe. But his mother's eyes were already on Mina, measuring her from head to toe like she was a bargain item someone had accidentally brought into a luxury store. Vivian Park leaned back in her chair and looked at Daniel, not Mina. So Vivian said lightly, "You really went through with it." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Mom," Vivian raised one hand as if calming a child. "I'm not shouting. I'm only surprised. That's all." She glanced at Mina's simple dress, the kind Mina had bought after saving for weeks. "I expected you to marry someone more suitable." Mina forced a small smile. "Mrs. Park, I understand this is sudden. Vivian cut her off without even looking sorry." "Vivian, we don't use Mrs. in my family. It sounds, old-fashioned." Mina nodded quickly. "Vivian." Vivian's lips curved. "Better?" Then Vivian turned to the waiter and spoke in a warm tone like Mina was not even there. "Could you bring a second menu? Daniel's wife might need help. Some people aren't used to certain dishes." Daniel sat up straighter. "She doesn't need help." Vivian's eyes flicked to him. "Daniel, darling, I'm trying to be considerate." Mina wanted to disappear. She could hear other people's quiet laughter somewhere behind them. The soft clink of glasses, the calm world of money that she had only ever seen from far away. She told herself to breathe slowly. Daniel looked at Mina, his eyes full of apology. "Mina, you can order anything you want." Mina nodded again, even though her throat felt dry. She stared at the menu. The words blurred. The prices made her stomach twist, but she tried not to show it. Vivian watched her with calm amusement. "You know, Daniel used to say he wanted a partner who could stand beside him, not behind him." Mina finally lifted her eyes. "I can stand beside him." Vivian's smile did not reach her eyes. "We'll see." A few minutes later, when the waiter returned, Mina ordered the cheapest item she could find that still sounded normal. Vivian noticed immediately. "Oh," Vivian said softly, tilting her head. "Is that all? You're not hungry?" Mina swallowed. "I'm hungry. I just like simple food." Vivian gave a small laugh. "Of course you do." Daniel's face flushed. "Mom, please stop." Vivian leaned forward now, her voice gentle, her words sharp. "I'm not stopping anything, Daniel. I'm simply observing reality." She finally looked directly at Mina. "Tell me, Mina, where did you meet my son again?" "That little cafe you worked at." Mina's cheeks warmed. She hated how true it sounded when Vivian said it. "Yes," Mina answered quietly. "I worked there." Vivian nodded as if confirming something unpleasant. "Right. I remember. You were carrying trays, wearing an apron." She paused. "It's a big jump going from that to this." Mina kept her back straight. She refused to look down. "I know it's a big change, but I love Daniel, and he loves me." Vivian's eyes sharpened for half a second. Then she smiled again. "Love." She said it like it was a childish idea. "That's sweet." Daniel reached for Mina's hand on the table. "I married her because she's kind, because she's real." Vivian's smile stayed in place, but her voice cooled. "Kindness is lovely, but it doesn't run companies, Daniel." Mina felt her chest tighten. She had known Vivian would not like her. But hearing it like this with the soft cruelty and the public calm made Mina feel small in a way she had not felt in years. Have you ever been judged before anyone knew your story? Mina blinked and forced herself to breathe again. She told herself this dinner was only one night, that she could endure one night. But then Vivian lifted her glass eyes still on Mina. I hope Vivian said that you understand your position in this family. There are standards here. Reputation matters. Mina's voice came out, barely above a whisper. I understand. Vivian nodded, satisfied. Good. The waiter arrived with the food. Mina picked up her fork, but her appetite was gone. Her heart kept beating too fast, like it was warning her of something. Daniel tried to change the subject, talking about work, about an upcoming charity event. Vivian listened politely. Then she spoke again, almost casually. Oh, Daniel, she said that charity gala next month. You'll be attending, of course. Her gaze slid to Mina. And you'll be bringing her. Mina froze. Vivian's smile widened, still calm, still elegant. It will be a good test. Let's see if she can fit in. Daniel's hand tightened around Mina's. Mom. Vivian lifted her shoulders in a small shrug. What? It's only an event. She looked at Mina with bright, cold eyes. You can handle that, can't you? Mina's mouth opened, but no words came out at first. The room suddenly felt too loud, too bright, too full of strangers who belonged here. Then Mina forced herself to nod. Yes, she said, I can handle it. Vivian's eyes held hers for a long moment, like she was silently promising something. Wonderful, Vivian replied. Then we'll all see. And Mina realized with a sinking feeling that this was not going to be one night. This was going to be a war, fought with smiles and silence and humiliation. Mina woke up before sunrise the way she always did. Even in the Park family's guest bedroom, bigger than her old apartment. Her body still remembered the habit of early mornings, the habit of being careful, the habit of earning the day before it started. The room was quiet, the curtains were thick, the bed felt like a cloud. But Mina's mind was already running. She slipped out of bed without waking Daniel. He had fallen asleep late again, exhausted from work and from trying to keep peace between the two most important women in his life. Mina padded to the bathroom and stared at herself in the mirror. Her hair was tied up simply. Her face looked younger than she felt. There were faint shadows under her eyes that makeup could hide but not remove. She touched the edge of the sink and whispered to herself, be steady. Then she dressed in a plain blouse and black skirt, the kind she used to wear to her cafe job. It was clean and neat, but beside the Park mansion's marble floors and shining walls, Mina felt like a pencil drawing on a gold frame. Downstairs, the house was already awake. A housekeeper nodded at her politely. Good morning, ma'am. Mina flinched a little at the word ma'am. She still didn't know how to fit inside it. Good morning, she said gently. Can I help with anything? The housekeeper hesitated, confused. Help! Ma'am. Mina forced a smile. I can set the table, or prepare tea. I don't want to just sit. The housekeeper looked relieved and also uncomfortable, like she wasn't sure if this was allowed. Mrs. Park usually prefers we handle it. I understand, Mina said, but I want to do something. A few minutes later, Mina was arranging cups and plates in the dining room. Everything was expensive. Everything was delicate. She held each cup like it could break from her breath. When Vivian came in dressed perfectly, even at 7 in the morning, her eyes swept across the table and landed on Mina's hands. Vivian stopped walking. What are you doing? She asked, not loudly, but with a sharp calm that made the air feel colder. Mina straightened. Good morning, Vivian. I thought I could help set up breakfast. Vivian stared at her for a moment, then slowly took off her sunglasses, even though there was no sun inside. We have staff, Vivian said. I know, Mina replied softly. But I was raised to help. It feels wrong to Vivian lifted one finger. You were raised differently. That is clear. Mina's face warmed. I didn't mean. Vivian walked closer, her heels clicking like a clock counting Mina's mistakes. She picked up a spoon Mina had placed. Do you know what this spoon costs? Vivian asked, turning it slightly so the light caught it. Mina swallowed. No. Vivian smiled. Of course you don't. She put it down with a gentle clink. Please don't play housemaid in my home. It confuses the staff. The housekeeper lowered her eyes. Mina's stomach twisted. I'm sorry, Mina said. Vivian's voice stayed smooth. And if you want to be useful, learn how to behave in your new world. Mina nodded. Yes. Vivian took her seat like a queen. Sit. Don't hover. Mina sat at the far end of the table, shoulders stiff. She felt like she was taking up space she hadn't earned. When Daniel finally came down, hair messy, tie half done, he smiled at Mina with warmth. Morning, he said, leaning to kiss her forehead. Mina smiled back, grateful for the simple affection, but Vivian watched the kiss like it was a business deal she didn't approve of. Daniel sat beside Mina. Mom, we're leaving soon. I have work. Mina's going to Vivian cut in. Mina will come with me today. Mina blinked. With you, Vivian sipped her tea. Yes, you need clothes that match our name. The gala is next month. You can't show up looking like this. Mina glanced down at her blouse. It was clean. It was modest. It was all she could afford before. Daniel frowned. Mom, she looks fine. Vivian's eyes slid to him. Fine for a cafe shift. Not fine for my circle. Mina's throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. It's okay, Daniel. I can go. Daniel looked frustrated, but he didn't want to start a fight at the table. Okay, but be nice, Mom. Vivian's smile returned thin and sure. I'm always nice. Later, when Daniel left, Mina rode with Vivian in a black car with quiet leather seats. Mina sat straight, hands folded, trying not to touch anything too much. Vivian stared out the window. Tell me about your family, she said, as if she was asking about a stranger's pet. Mina hesitated. There's not much to tell. Vivian looked at her. Try. Mina took a breath. My father left when I was young. My mom raised me alone. She worked in a laundry shop. I helped after school. Vivian's lips pressed together slightly. So, no father. Small job. Hard life. She nodded as if checking a list. And now you're here. Mina's voice softened. My mom is kind. She tried her best. Vivian waved a hand lightly. I'm sure. Then she added, does she know how lucky you are? Mina looked down. She knows I married Daniel. She worries. Vivian gave a quiet laugh. Of course she worries. Poor people always worry. They think everything can be taken away at any time. Mina's fingers tightened together. She didn't correct her. She couldn't. At the luxury boutique, the staff greeted Vivian with bright smiles and almost bows. Mrs. Park, welcome back. Vivian nodded like it was normal. Bring the new collection. Then she glanced at Mina. This is Mina. She'll need something appropriate. The staff looked Mina up and down in a fast, practiced way. Their smiles stayed, but their eyes changed. Yes, Mrs. Park, a woman said. Mina tried to keep her face calm as they brought dresses that cost more than her old rent for a whole year. She held them carefully, afraid her hands were too rough for such fabric. Vivian watched Mina step into the changing room, then called through the curtain. Don't choose what you like. Choose what looks expensive. Mina's cheeks burned. Okay. One dress was tight. Another felt too open around the chest. Another made her look older. Mina stared at herself in the mirror, feeling like she was wearing someone else's skin. When she stepped out in a pale dress, Vivian tilted her head. You look almost acceptable, Vivian said. Mina forced a small smile. Thank you. Vivian walked around her slowly, like inspecting an object. Stand straight, shoulders back. Don't smile too much. It makes you look eager. Mina nodded, trying. Vivian lifted Mina's chin with 2 fingers. And stop speaking so softly. It sounds insecure. Mina's eyes flickered with hurt, but she whispered, I'm sorry. Vivian removed her hand. You apologize too much. It's a habit of low status. Mina's throat tightened. She blinked slowly. I'll try to change. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Try harder. That afternoon, Vivian took Mina to lunch with two wealthy friends. The restaurant was bright and calm, filled with quiet laughter and perfume. Vivian introduced Mina like she was an accessory. This is Daniel's wife, Vivian said. One friend, a woman with diamonds in her ears, leaned forward. Oh, how unexpected. Where is she from? Mina smiled politely. I grew up in the city, Vivian answered for her. She worked as a waitress. Daniel met her there. The women laughed softly like it was a cute story. Mina's stomach dropped. A waitress, the other friends said. Daniel has such a big heart. Vivian sipped her drink. Yes, too big sometimes. Mina's fingers curled around her water glass. She wanted to leave, but she stayed. She smiled. She answered politely. She kept her voice calm. When the women talked about private schools and vacation homes, Mina listened quietly, feeling like she was underwater. Then Vivian suddenly asked loud enough for the table to hear, Mina, do you even know the difference between a charity gala and a fundraiser dinner? Mina froze. The friends looked at her waiting. Mina swallowed. A charity gala is usually larger, more formal. A fundraiser dinner can be smaller and focused on donations. Vivian blinked. She didn't expect Mina to answer correctly. Then Vivian recovered with a light laugh. Well, at least she can memorize things. Mina's face stayed calm, but inside something stung deeper. It wasn't just the insult. It was the feeling of being treated like a child who had to earn basic respect. What would you do in her place? That evening, Mina went back to the mansion, tired and quiet. She found Daniel in his office, loosening his tie. He looked up and saw her face. How was it? Mina tried to smile. Fine. Daniel stood and walked to her. No. Tell me the truth. Mina's eyes filled slightly, but she blinked it back. Your mom. She doesn't like me. Daniel's mouth tightened. I know. She tells everyone I was a waitress, Mina said, voice shaking a little, like it's something dirty. Daniel's expression turned angry. She has no right. Mina looked down. I don't want to fight. I don't want to make you choose. Daniel stepped closer and held her hands. You're my wife? I already chose? Mina's chest tightened with emotion. Then why does it feel like I'm always on trial? Daniel didn't answer immediately. His silence was heavy. Then he said, because my mother thinks love is something you buy, and you can't be bought. Mina's eyes burned. I'm trying so hard. Daniel lifted her hands to his lips. I know, but I need you to promise me something, Mina whispered. But he looked at her seriously. If she crosses a line, tell me. Don't swallow it. Don't suffer alone. Mina nodded slowly. Okay. But even as she agreed, she knew the truth. Vivian wasn't done. Because the next morning, Mina overheard Vivian speaking on the phone in the hallway, her voice low and sharp. Yes, Vivian said. Bring the guest list, and make sure the women see her properly this time. Mina stood still behind the corner, heart pounding. Vivian continued calm as ice. If she wants to wear the park name, she will learn what it costs. Mina's breath caught. She stepped back quietly, her hands cold. A test. Another one. And this time Mina felt it would not be small. Vivian Park loved mornings because they reminded her of control. She stood in front of the tall windows of her private study, coffee in hand, looking out at the city below. Glass towers, busy streets, and people moving quickly to places that mattered. She had helped shape some of that world. She liked to remember that. Behind her, the room was silent and expensive. Dark wood shelves, framed awards, photographs of charity events where her smile looked generous and powerful at the same time. Vivian believed in order, in hierarchy, in knowing where people belonged. And in her mind, Mina Lee did not belong. Vivian set her cup down and picked up her phone. The screen showed a photo from last week's boutique trip. Mina in the pale dress, standing stiff, trying too hard. Vivian sighed, shaking her head. How did Daniel fall for someone like that, she muttered. She remembered her own youth clearly. She had not been born rich, but she had learned quickly. She had married well-spoken carefully and never allowed weakness to show. She had turned her husband's business into an empire by understanding power better than anyone else in the room. To Vivian's struggle was not something to admire. It was something to escape. And Mina, with her quiet voice and cheap manners, felt like a step backward. At breakfast, Vivian sat across from Daniel, tapping her spoon lightly. I've been thinking, Vivian said, about the gala. Daniel didn't look up from his phone. What about it? It's important, Vivian continued. The board will be there. Sponsors, investors, wives. She paused. Your wife, Daniel frowned. What about her? Vivian leaned back. She's not ready, Daniel sighed. Mom, she's not a project. She's my partner. Vivian's eyes sharpened. Partners represent each other. She represents you, and you represent the family. Daniel finally looked up. She represents me just fine. Vivian smiled calmly. You're emotional. That's because you love her. I understand that. She reached across the table and touched his hand. But love doesn't erase reality. Daniel pulled his hand away gently. What are you planning? Vivian tilted her head. Planning is such a harsh word. I'm helping. Later that day, Vivian hosted a small planning lunch at the house. 5 women arrived, all dressed in quiet luxury. Soft laughter filled the living room. Mina entered, carrying a tray of tea, unsure if she was supposed to help or not. The housekeeper had been busy, and Mina didn't want to sit alone upstairs again. Vivian noticed immediately. Her smile froze. Mina, Vivian said loudly enough for everyone to hear. I told you, the staff handles service. Mina's hands shook slightly. I'm sorry. I thought. Vivian turned to her guests. She still hasn't adjusted. Old habits. The women smiled politely, some with curiosity, some with judgment. One woman whispered not quietly enough. She's very humble. Vivian laughed. That's one word for it. Mina's chest tightened. She placed the tray down carefully and stepped back. Please, Vivian said, waving her away. Go rest. This isn't your space. Mina nodded and left the room. Each step felt heavier than the last. Behind her, Vivian's voice lowered, but not enough. She means well, Vivian said. But you can't teach class. You're born with it. The women hummed in agreement. That afternoon, Vivian drove to her private club downtown. The doorman greeted her by name. Inside, the air smelled of polish and money. She met with her old friend Margaret, who sat by the window. I heard about Daniel, Margaret said immediately. He married. Vivian sighed dramatically. Yes, Margaret raised an eyebrow. And he chose poorly. Margaret leaned in. How poor? Vivian's mouth tightened. Waitress, no connections, no polish, no ambition. Margaret winced slightly. That's bold of him. Vivian's eyes darkened. It's dangerous. People will talk. They already are, Margaret said gently. Vivian clenched her jaw. Then they will see the truth. Margaret studied her. And what truth is that she doesn't belong? Vivian replied without hesitation. That evening, Vivian reviewed the gala guest list. She circled names with a red pen. She paused at one name and smiled slowly. This will do, she said to herself. She picked up the phone and made a call. Yes, Vivian said. I'm hosting a pre-gala dinner. Small, intimate. She paused. Yes, Mina will be there. She listened, then smiled wider. No, she said. I want everyone to see her. Meanwhile, upstairs, Mina sat on the edge of the bed, folding laundry quietly. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. Are you eating well? Her mother asked. Yes, Mina lied gently. Are they treating you kindly? Mina hesitated. They're different, her mother sighed. Mina, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Mina's eyes filled. I know, but I want to try. Why, her mother asked softly. Because I love him, Mina replied, and because I don't want to run. After the call, Mina stared at the wall for a long time. She felt small, but she also felt something else growing quietly inside her. Resolve. The next day, Vivian called Mina into the living room. Mina, Vivian said, sitting straight, I've arranged a small dinner this weekend. Important guests. Mina nodded. Okay. Vivian looked at her carefully. You will wear the blue dress. You will speak only when spoken to. You will not discuss your past. Mina swallowed. Why not? Vivian's eyes hardened. Because it embarrasses us. Mina's hands clenched at her sides. Then she relaxed them slowly. I won't lie, Mina said softly. Vivian stared at her. Then don't speak. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Mina nodded. All right. Vivian smiled, satisfied. Good. Remember, this dinner is for the family. Don't make it about yourself. Mina walked away feeling like her heart was wrapped in wire. She didn't know what Vivian was planning exactly, but she could feel it in the careful rules in the guest list, in the way Vivian watched her. This dinner was not about introduction. It was about exposure. And Vivian believed with full confidence that by the end of it, Mina would be embarrassed enough to shrink back into her place. What Vivian did not know was that somewhere beyond her perfect world, a quiet decision was already forming, one that would change everything. The dinner Vivian planned took place on a rainy evening, the kind where the city lights blurred into long, shaking lines. Mina stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the blue dress Vivian had chosen. It fit well, maybe too well, like it was meant to hide who she was rather than show it. She took a slow breath. Be calm, she whispered to herself. Be kind, be steady. Downstairs, the house filled with voices and soft laughter. Expensive perfume mixed with the smell of food. Mina walked in quietly and took her place beside Daniel. He squeezed her hand once a small anchor. Vivian watched them from across the room. The dinner moved like a performance. People spoke about investments, schools, and vacations. Mina listened more than she spoke. When someone asked her a question, she answered simply, honestly. Then it happened. A young server carrying a tray of wine slipped near the edge of the rug. The tray tipped. Glasses crashed. Red wine splashed across the white tablecloth and onto the floor. The room froze. The server, a young woman, not much older than Mina, went pale. I'm so sorry, she stammered. I didn't see. Vivian stood up immediately, her chair scraping loudly. Do you have any idea how expensive this is? She snapped, pointing at the stained cloth. This is unacceptable. The server's eyes filled with tears. Please, I'll clean it. I'll pay for it if I have to. Pay? Vivian laughed sharply. With what your salary for the next 10 years? The guests shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke. Mina's heart started pounding. She looked at the shaking hands of the server. She saw herself from years ago dropping a cup at the cafe, apologizing again and again while customers stared. Before she could overthink it, Mina stepped forward. It's okay, Mina said clearly. Vivian turned, surprised. Excuse me. Mina knelt down beside the server without hesitation. Her dress brushed the floor. She picked up broken glass carefully with a napkin. It was an accident, Mina said. No one was hurt. That's what matters. Vivian's face tightened. Mina, get up. This is not your place. Mina looked up, calm but firm. It is my place. I understand her. The room went quiet. Daniel stared at Mina, shocked but proud. Mina stood and faced Vivian. Her voice stayed respectful but steady. If there is a cost, we can handle it privately. There's no need to humiliate her. Vivian's eyes flashed with anger. You are embarrassing me. Mina shook her head gently. No, I'm choosing kindness. One of the guests cleared his throat. She's right. Accidents happen. Another nodded. It's only a tablecloth. Vivian felt the shift in the room. She sat back down slowly, lips pressed tight. The server whispered, "Thank you," tears falling. Mina smiled softly. "You're okay. Take a breath." After the guests left, Vivian confronted Mina in the hallway. "What you did was reckless," Vivian said coldly. "You lowered yourself in front of everyone." Mina met her gaze. "I didn't lower myself. I protected someone." Vivian scoffed. "You think that makes you noble?" Mina replied quietly, "No. It makes me human." Vivian turned away furious. 2 days later, Mina was walking alone near a small community center close to the city. She volunteered there once a week, something she hadn't told the Park family about. It was her place to breathe. Inside, she helped organize donated clothes. She laughed with an elderly woman. She listened to a single mother talk about rent worries. That afternoon, a man in his late 50s watched her quietly from the doorway. He wore a simple coat, but his posture was confident. When Mina finished, he approached her. "You handled that dinner with grace," he said. Mina blinked. "I'm sorry I was there," he continued. "I'm Mr. Han." Mina recognized the name slowly. Han Group, one of the quiet investors Vivian often mentioned with respect. "I didn't know you volunteered here," Mina said. Mr. Han smiled. "I don't usually, but I support this place." He paused. "I wanted to thank you. Most people protect their image. You protected a person." Mina felt embarrassed. "I just did what felt right." Mr. Han nodded. "That's rare." They talked briefly. Nothing dramatic, just simple words. Before leaving, Mr. Han said, "If you ever need work, real work, not charity, come see me." Mina hesitated. "I'm not qualified." Mr. Han smiled gently. "Kindness is a qualification. Skills can be taught." He handed her a card. Mina held it carefully like it was fragile. That night she sat alone in her room staring at the card. Vivian's words echoed in her head. Low status. Embarrassing. Mina took a deep breath and made a decision, quiet, firm, her own. She would stop trying to fit into Vivian's world. She would build her own, and she would do it without anger, without revenge, without asking permission. Downstairs, Vivian laughed on the phone, confident and relaxed, believing everything was still under her control. She had no idea that the path she tried to block had already begun to open. Mina did not tell anyone about the card. She placed it inside her wallet and went on with her days as if nothing had changed. But inside her, something had shifted. It was quiet but steady, like a door that had finally unlocked. Every morning she still woke up early. She still moved softly through the big house. Vivian still watched her with the same cold eyes. But Mina no longer felt as small. 3 days later, Mina stood outside a modest office building downtown. The sign read, Han Consulting Group. Simple, clean, no luxury cars outside. She hesitated for a moment. Then she walked in. The receptionist smiled. "May I help you? My name is Mina Lee." Mina said, "Mr. Han told me to come." The receptionist's smile widened. "Yes, he's expecting you." Mina blinked surprised. Mr. Han greeted her personally. "You came," he said, pleased. "I didn't know if I should," Mina admitted. "I don't want trouble." Mr. Han studied her calmly. "You don't look like someone who looks for trouble." He offered her a seat. "Tell me about your work." Mina talked about the cafe, about managing orders, about handling angry customers, about learning fast because mistakes cost tips. She didn't make it sound important. Mr. Han listened carefully. "You understand people," he said. "That matters more than spreadsheets." He offered her a part-time position, training included, quiet work, real pay. Mina hesitated only once. "My family, they may not approve." Mr. Han nodded. "Then don't announce it. Just work." That night, Mina returned home, tired but calm. Daniel noticed immediately. "You're smiling," he said. "I had a good day," Mina replied. "At home?" he asked gently. "No," she said honestly. "Outside." Daniel searched her face. "Are you okay?" Mina nodded. "I'm learning to be." Daniel didn't push. He trusted her. Vivian, however, noticed the change. Mina spoke less. She apologized less. She listened, but her eyes no longer dropped to the floor. At breakfast one morning, Vivian commented sharply, "You seem busy lately." Mina looked up. "I am," with what Vivian asked. Mina answered calmly, "Work." Vivian raised an eyebrow. "Daniel provides for you." "I know," Mina said, "but I want to stand on my own." Vivian's lips curved into a thin smile. "Careful. Independence can look like disrespect." Mina met her gaze. "I don't see them as the same thing." Silence followed. Vivian did not like silence when she did not control it. Weeks passed. Mina learned quickly. She stayed late. She listened more than she spoke. Mr. Hahn watched quietly. One evening he said, "You have leadership in you. You just hide it." Mina shook her head. "I was taught not to take up space," Mr. Hahn replied. "Then unlearn it." Slowly Mina did. She stood straighter. Her voice grew steadier. She stopped flinching at sharp tones. But at home, Vivian continued. At a family lunch, Vivian commented loudly, "Some people forget their place once they taste comfort." Mina smiled politely. "I remember my place very well." "And where is that?" Vivian asked. "With myself," Mina replied. Daniel choked on his water. Vivian's eyes narrowed. One afternoon, Vivian called Mina into the living room. "There's another charity event next month," Vivian said. "Larger than the last. Press will be there." Mina nodded. "Okay." Vivian leaned forward. "I expect you to behave. No scenes. No hero moments." Mina's voice stayed calm. "I don't plan scenes. I plan honesty." Vivian laughed softly. "Honesty doesn't impress my circle." Mina answered quietly but clearly, "It impresses me." Vivian stared at her, shocked by the lack of fear. Late that night, Mina sat on the balcony alone, city lights below. She thought about the past, about her mother's tired hands, about carrying trays, about apologizing too much. "Do you believe dignity can survive humiliation?" Mina breathed in the cool air. "Yes," she thought, "if you protect it." Behind her, Vivian watched through the glass door, eyes sharp, mind already planning. Another public event, another test, another chance to break her. Vivian smiled to herself. She did not know that the ground beneath her confidence was already cracking. The charity gala was held at a downtown hotel that glittered like a glass palace. Cameras flashed near the entrance. Black cars arrived one after another. Names were checked. Smiles were practiced. Mina stepped out of the car beside Daniel, her hand resting lightly on his arm. She wore a simple black dress. Not flashy, not expensive looking, but it fit her well. Her posture was calm. Vivian noticed immediately. Her lips tightened. Inside the ballroom, chandeliers glowed above long tables dressed in white. Soft music played. Guests moved in small circles, greeting each other with kisses on the air. Vivian took control as soon as they entered. "Daniel," she said, already walking ahead, "come greet Mr. Collins with me." Then she turned to Mina. "You can wait here." Mina nodded. "Of course." Daniel hesitated. "Mina." "I'm fine," Mina said quietly. Vivian did not wait to hear more. Mina stood alone near a column, hands folded. People passed her, some curious, some dismissive. She recognized the look. She had seen it before. The look that asked, "Who let you in?" A woman in a silver dress stopped near her. "Are you with the Park family?" she asked. "Yes," Mina replied. The woman smiled thinly. "Oh, I didn't expect—" She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Mina smiled politely. Many people don't." As the evening went on, Vivian began to move pieces on the board. At one table, she laughed loudly and said, "Mina has such a charming background. Very humble." At another, she said, "Daniel has always had a soft heart. He likes to rescue." The word rescue traveled quickly. Soon people were looking at Mina with new interest, not admiration, curiosity mixed with judgment. Then came the speech. Vivian stepped onto the small stage, glass in hand. The room quieted. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," Vivian began warmly. "This cause is very close to my heart." Applause followed. Vivian continued smiling. "Family is important. Legacy matters. And sometimes life brings unexpected choices." Mina felt Daniel's body tense beside her. Vivian's eyes found Mina across the room. And sometimes Vivian said lightly, "Those choices remind us how far we've come." A few people laughed politely. Vivian raised her glass. To growth. The applause was scattered, uneven. Mina felt heat rise in her chest. She understood now. This was not a mistake. This was not subtle. This was public. Daniel leaned toward Vivian when she stepped down. "That was unnecessary," Vivian whispered back, smiling. "It was honest." Later during dinner, Vivian struck again. "Mina," she said loudly from across the table, "why don't you tell everyone about your first job?" The table fell quiet. Mina froze for a second. Then she looked up. "I worked at a cafe," Mina said calmly. "I served customers. I cleaned tables. I learned patience." Someone chuckled softly. Vivian tilted her head. "And do you miss it?" Mina paused, then answered honestly, "I miss the people, not the judgment." The room went still. Vivian laughed lightly. "You see, so sensitive." Mina met her eyes. "No, just aware." Vivian's smile tightened. "Awareness doesn't replace education," Mina replied quietly. "Neither does money replace character." A sharp intake of breath moved around the table. Daniel stared at Mina, surprised. Vivian's face flushed for the first time that night. "Excuse me." Mina held her gaze. "You asked me to speak." "I did." The silence stretched. Then Vivian smiled again. Slow, dangerous. "You're very brave tonight," she said. "Or very foolish." Mina's voice did not shake. "I'm just myself." Vivian leaned back, satisfied in a strange way. "That's the problem." As dessert was served, Vivian delivered the final blow. She stood again holding her glass. "Before we end the night, I want to thank someone special." She looked straight at Mina. "My daughter-in-law. She reminds us that charity begins with exposure." Confused murmurs filled the room. Vivian continued smoothly. "Some people rise through effort, others through luck." The words landed like stones. Mina felt her chest tighten. Her ears rang. She felt dozens of eyes on her. Daniel stood up. "Mom, stop." Vivian raised a hand. "Sit down. This is a lesson." Mina stood slowly. "I don't need lessons," Mina said quietly. "And I don't need permission to exist." Vivian scoffed. "You need to remember where you came from." Mina nodded. "I do. Every day." She picked up her bag. "I'm leaving," Mina said. Daniel stood with her. "I'm coming." Mina shook her head gently. "Not tonight." She walked toward the exit with steady steps, back straight, face calm, even as her heart pounded. Behind her, Vivian watched, certain of one thing. She had won. She had shown everyone exactly who Mina was supposed to be. Vivian lifted her glass again, smiling confidently, believing the story ended there. She did not know that this was only the moment before the truth stepped into the light. The rain had stopped, but the street outside the hotel still shone under the lights. Mina stepped out into the cool air and breathed deeply, like she had been holding her breath all night. She did not cry. She did not run. She walked. Behind her, the ballroom buzzed again, laughter returning, glasses clinking, as if nothing important had happened. Vivian remained inside, surrounded by people who smiled at her with approval. "Well handled," one woman said. "You were very honest." Vivian smiled, lifting her chin. "I believe in truth." She believed the matter was finished. Then the doors opened again. The doorman stepped forward, suddenly alert. "Excuse me," he said into his radio. "The car has arrived." Vivian barely noticed. Limousines arrived all the time. But then she heard the sound. A deep, smooth engine, not rushed, not loud, confident. She turned her head slightly. Through the tall glass doors she saw it. A long black limousine rolled to a perfect stop right in front of the hotel entrance. The kind of car that did not belong to rented nights or borrowed status. The kind that came with its own gravity. People nearby fell quiet. Vivian frowned. Whose car is that? No one answered. Outside, the driver stepped out first. He was dressed neatly, movements precise. He opened the rear door and waited. Mina stood on the sidewalk, rain light on her hair, city lights reflecting in her eyes. She hesitated only a moment. Then she walked toward the limousine. Vivian's smile stiffened. "That's not," she murmured. The driver bowed slightly. "Ms. Lee." The words hit Vivian like a slap. "Ms. Lee." Mina nodded once. "Thank you." She turned slightly, and for the first time that night, she looked back through the glass doors. Her eyes met Vivian's. There was no anger in Mina's face, no pride, no revenge, only calm. Vivian felt something cold slide down her spine. Inside the ballroom, people were already whispering. "Did he say Ms. Lee? Who is she? Is that her car?" Vivian stepped forward without thinking, heels clicking too fast. She pushed through the doors and onto the steps outside. "Mina." Vivian said sharply. "What is this?" Mina stopped beside the open door. The soft leather seats waited behind her. She turned slowly. "This," Mina said gently, "is my ride." Vivian laughed, short and forced. "Don't be ridiculous." "You don't." Mr. Hahn stepped into view from the other side of the car. "Good evening, Mrs. Park," he said calmly. Vivian froze. "Mr. Hahn," she whispered. He nodded. "I came to pick up my partner." Vivian's breath caught. "Partner." Mr. Hahn looked at Mina with quiet respect. "Ms. Lee has been working with my firm. She led a successful client restructuring last week. Tonight she was leaving early to prepare for tomorrow's board meeting." The world seemed to tilt. "A board meeting," Vivian repeated faintly. Mr. Hahn continued, polite but firm. "The acquisition will be announced soon. I thought it best to avoid attention tonight." Vivian's mouth opened. No sound came out. Mina spoke again, her voice soft. "I didn't tell you because I didn't think it mattered." Vivian stared at her, eyes wide, finally seeing her. Not as a waitress, not as a poor girl, not as a mistake, but as someone who stood on her own ground. You lied," Vivian said weakly. Mina shook her head. "No, you never asked who I was becoming, only where I came from." Silence fell heavy around them. Guests stood at the doors now watching, the same people who had laughed, who had judged. Vivian felt their eyes shift. This time they were on her. Mina turned back to the car. "Daniel knows," she said quietly. "He supported me. That's enough." She paused, then added, "I hope one day you understand that dignity doesn't wear labels." Vivian reached out slightly. "Mina." But Mina was already stepping inside. The driver closed the door smoothly. The limousine pulled away slow and steady, leaving nothing behind but reflections on wet pavement. Vivian stood frozen on the steps, her perfect posture finally breaking. No applause, no laughter, only whispers, and the sharp, late realization that she had humiliated the wrong person. The morning light was soft and quiet when Mina stood by the window of her new apartment. It wasn't large, but it was hers. The city below moved at its usual pace, unaware of how much had changed for one person overnight. She poured herself a cup of tea and sat at the small table near the window. Her phone buzzed with a message from Daniel. "I'm proud of you, always." Mina smiled gently. There was no anger in her heart anymore, only relief. Later that day, Mina walked into her office with calm steps. People greeted her by name, not with curiosity, with respect. She sat at her desk and opened her laptop, ready for the work ahead. She did not think about Vivian often. But across the city, Vivian Park sat alone in her grand dining room. The chairs felt too large, the silence too loud. Her phone lay untouched. For the first time in a long time, Vivian wondered how many times she had mistaken power for worth. In the weeks that followed, Mina built her life with quiet confidence. She visited her mother more often. She laughed more easily. She slept without fear. She had not become rich overnight. She had become free. Moral people are quick to judge what they can see. They forget that growth often happens in silence. Money can open doors, but it cannot teach dignity. Kindness does not make you weak. And humility is only powerful when it is chosen, not forced. If this story moved you, take a moment to think about how you judge others. Someone beside you may be carrying a story you cannot see. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about dignity, resilience, and quiet strength. Thank you for watching.